He didn't need no 5-course meal, especially since I didn't know how to cook a 5-course meal. Because my 5-course meals, they weren't that tasty. He'll tell you. So I think he was like, girl, just stay in your lane. Baby steps, baby steps. Because I felt like I had to have it all the way together overnight. Welcome to A Chosen Covergirl, where we talk about living life full of joy, confidence, and faith, as well as everything in between. I'm your girl, Daniela. Guys, today I am going to address things that I wish I knew before I got married. This is going to be a 2-part video because I went ahead and I asked other married women things that they wish that they knew as well. So as the responses are coming in, they're pretty good, too good not to share. So I decided, let me go ahead and make a second video with those responses. But for now, this video includes the things that I wish I knew before I got married. When I was single, I used to think that when I got married, I'd turn into this like domesticated, womanly woman. I thought I was gonna turn into like a combination, or that I had to turn into like a combination of like a Martha Stewart and like a Jackie Oasis. Like I would be this domesticated queen who was over there cooking, cleaning, just holding it down for her husband, holding down the household and looking good while I was doing it. Polished, heels, hair put together. I just thought I was just going to be like this married woman, like this wife. That was the image of a wife that I expected. Now, why did I have this image when that's not how my mom did it, and that's not how other women that I've seen do it, but that's how I portrayed on television, and that's just a thought. That's just what I had in my head. And so I just thought I'd have to change. And also because my mother would really get on me about stepping it up and just being more womanly and being more domesticated. So in her eyes, I just had a long way to go. So I thought, okay, well, I'll just do that when I get married. But no, the same person that I was as a single woman is the same person that I was when I got married. I wasn't going to change overnight, and I didn't change overnight. I was the same silly, carefree, goofy girl that I was before. And I didn't just all of a sudden want to be this domesticated queen. I hated being domesticated then. And when I got married, I still wasn't fond of it. Did I do certain things for my household? Of course, I cooked for my husband as best as I knew how. And, I did the domesticated things, but it doesn't mean that I enjoy doing it. It doesn't mean that I did it with style and grace the way I thought I was going to. No. And I feel like these misconceptions that you have going into marriage, especially this one in particular for me, it kind of makes you think, well, if I'm not doing it this way, am I failing at it? Am I not a good wife? I'm not meeting, the image in my mind of a wife that I thought I had to be. But fast forward, it took a while for me to realize, that's not what my husband needed from me. Because in the beginning, I was making Sunday meals, and I felt like I had to make these, huge Sunday meals, a huge spread, because that's what my mom would do. That's the thing. It's Sunday meal. You got to feed your husband, and you got to, take food out for him. You got to prepare the food. You just got to, all of that imagery that I thought that I had to do as a married woman, I didn't. And my husband made it known, I don't need this from you. I don't need you to do that. He didn't need no 5-course meal, especially since I didn't know how to cook a 5-course meal. Because my 5-course meals, they weren't that tasty. He'll tell you. So I think he was like, girl, just stay in your lane. Baby steps, baby steps. Because I felt like I had to have it all the way together overnight. And being womanly, being a mature type of woman that I thought I was going to become, that comes with time. That comes with experience. It wasn't going to happen overnight once I got married. I am going on 15 years of marriage right now. Am I the same girl that I was when I first got married during year 1? No, absolutely not. Am I that womanly woman? I'm still not the image of that woman. But again, I am still the same person I was to the core of who I am when I was single as I am as a married woman. Along those same lines, it's you hear people say, okay, well, when you get married, you can't hang around with the same friends. You can't go to the same places that you used to go to. And I'm thinking like, I just had to change the way I move and stuff. But no, you don't. As long as these friends aren't detrimental to your marriage, as long as the places that you go do not compromise your marriage and your husband's okay with it, you don't have to all of a sudden just stop and, stop being friends with your single girlfriends. You don't have to all of a sudden stop going places that you used to go to when you were single. And at the end of the day, these friends, these are the same friends that you were doing life with. These are the friends that were holding you down before you got married. So don't just drop them and let them go. And I'm going to go into detail. That's for another story. Like that alone needs a video in and of itself. So look out for that one. Another thing that I wish I knew before I got married, or I would say it's probably kind of a misconception, is that once you get married, like that first year is honeymoon. It's going to be bliss. Now, if it was honeymoon for you, if you just had this blissful honeymoon stage when you first got married, more power to you. That is absolutely awesome. Me, not so much so. My first year of marriage was, it wasn't just this buzz. Of course, you're going to have, good times and bad times, but it was pretty challenging. It was challenging, getting adjusted to somebody. Because if you don't live with your partner prior to marriage, like he and I did not live together. So I had to get used to living with somebody else. We had to get used to sharing our space with each other, being in each other's face all the time, get used to the bad habits of the other person. So it took some time for us to really, get it together and get used to the other person. So it wasn't honeymoon. It wasn't blissful, for me. And I remember it wasn't blissful for, someone else that I know who got married around the same time as me. And I remember we would just sit there and exchange notes about how, we were struggling, right? And then we'd go to our other girlfriend or to somebody else who was married like less than a year. Oh, how are things? Oh my God, things are wonderful. Oh my God, it's so amazing. Isn't it great? That's how my girlfriend and I would look. We're like, and then as soon as she left, like, girl, she lying. She ain't telling the truth. But she may have been telling the truth. Things may have been blissful for her. And misery loves company. So me and my girlfriend were over there like, she lying. It ain't great for her. But yeah, so that is another misconception, because maybe if I knew that it wouldn't be blissful, I wouldn't, or all bliss, and that there were going to be some challenges with getting, acclimated to the other person and their habits, maybe, I wouldn't have just been so, I wouldn't have taken it so personal, and maybe I would have been able to like let some things go. And that's another thing that I wish I knew. I wish I knew how to pick my battles. I'm a type of person, I just don't know how to let it go. Like that is a flaw of mine. I don't know how to just let it go. So I wish I knew how to pick my battles early on in my marriage, because I was fighting for any and everything. Like the smallest thing, I would take a molehill and make it into a mountain. And of course, that's not good, full stop, let alone for a marriage. Like, for example, like my husband, if he does the dishes, he makes a big puddle of a mess on the kitchen counter. Sometimes water splashes on the floor. And I remember thinking like, ugh. And then I would go and pick a fight with him over it, because it really annoyed the crap out of me. And so I remember my girlfriend saying, at least he did the dishes. And that's what I had to remember. At least he did the dishes. And another advice that I was given by a friend that I have really been able to take with me, and it was so profound, and I just didn't think about it until I sat down and really, dwelled on what she said. It was, how does this fit in the grand scheme of your marriage? Like, is this a make or break? It's not a make or break. Is this something that you're going to fight over 5 to 10 years from now? Like, come on. Is this detrimental to your marriage? If it's not, let it go. It's so small. Keep it moving. And sure enough, I had to learn how to let go of the small things. I learned how to do it, which is what has given us longevity in our marriage. So it wasn't even just about learning how to fight your battles, or what battles to fight, but it was learning when to fight those battles. Same example with my husband and the dishes and the water. Yes, at least he did the dishes. Don't make a big deal out of that. Then it becomes, okay, it can be addressed, but when are you going to address it? Okay, I can address it during pillow talk. I can address it while we're out on a date. I can address it while we're chilling, watching TV. Oh, babe, thanks for doing the dishes. But, do you mind next time, or you have a tendency of, splashing a lot of water on the floor. And then I have to come and do it. Do you mind if, you just kind of like maybe not turn the water on so much, or just maybe if you can kind of take a look before you walk off and just, make sure. Who knows how, I would say it. But the whole point is knowing that it's too small. It's not that big. It's not that serious. No need to fight over it. And when it's time to address it, pick the right time to address it, and then just keep it moving. So that's another thing I wish I knew how to do before I got married, because I think it would have, prevented a lot of the fights and the struggles and the bickering in our first year of that not so honeymoon first year, of getting to know each other in our new living space. I wish I knew marriage is not 50-50. You just always hear marriage is 50-50, it's 50-50. No, that you have two individuals. If each person is bringing 50%, that means each person's bringing half. No, of course not. That's not marriage. Marriage is each person needs to bring in their full selves. They need to put forth their best efforts in the marriage. The thing about it is, we all know, like life, marriage is seasonal. So there are going to be times when one person is putting more effort than the other person. There's going to be times when you're both putting in as much full effort as you can. And then there are going to be times where you both are just laid back and you're not putting the effort that you need to be putting in. But it's seasonal, it's up and down, and it's recognizing that. And it's not just, and when we talk about marriage being 50-50, it's not about finances only. It's not about, 50% of paying the bills, or 100%, or this person pays more of the bills. No, it's about what you're bringing to the table, bringing 100% of yourself. It's about making sure both parties are showing up and like, teamwork makes the dream work. Let's do this. Let's put in our full faith effort into this marriage to make it work. So that's like a misconception, I would say, that marriage is 50-50, or just a bad terminology, that people use a lot of times when it comes to marriage. Another thing I wish I knew or had done before I got married, I wish I would have, like my husband and I wish we would have teamed up with a seasoned married couple. So before we got married, we did premarital counseling. And throughout our marriage, we've gone to marriage counseling, here and there when we've had issues. And the thing about going to marriage counseling is, by the time you're going to marriage counseling, you have this really big issue that's become a thorn in your marriage. And sometimes it's so far gone that marriage counseling cannot do anything for your marriage. You're already so far gone, and then you're on the road to divorce. When it comes to marriage counseling, I feel like it should be an ongoing thing. Counseling should be an ongoing thing. So I wish I would have known that, because in doing our premarital counseling, I just felt like maybe we should have maintained counseling throughout the marriage, like check-ins, or once a year check-in, or every 6 months checking in. And then which brings me back to what I said before. I wish we had a seasoned couple that we were doing life with, almost like a mentor, a couple who would mentor us. Because by this time, while we were engaged, we had this couple, they would be that person that we would go to, when we're having issues in our marriage. Because we're doing life with this couple, because we're seeing this couple quite often, because they're like mentoring us, us and we're getting counseling from them, the issues that we do have or that we did have wouldn't grow and become so deeply rooted that would cause such a problem in the marriage. So I would say for anybody who is single who's watching this, not only premarital counseling, not only like marital counseling check-ins and not waiting until something becomes a really big deal, I would say find yourself a seasoned married couple and do life with that couple. Come together every once in a while, have date nights. And it has to be somebody that you're comfortable with sharing your issues with, that you're totally open and vulnerable with. And the thing about it is some people are like, oh yeah, I have my parents, or, you know, we have each other's parents, you know, my in-laws, they've been married for a long time. I use them as an example. We can go to them. But are you really comfortable? Are you both really comfortable going to one of you guys' parents? I can't necessarily say that is the best route, because you don't want your in-law to see you, you don't want them to see you in a different light. You don't want them to just look at you differently. And you don't want that for your parent to look at your spouse in a different light. You want it to be a totally, you know, a neutral party. And then of course they no longer become neutral per se, because, you know, you guys become friends, it's a couple, you're doing life together. But it definitely has to be somebody that you're both comfortable with, you're both willing to open up and be vulnerable with. And the whole point is, you know, a couple who wants to see you grow, who wants to see your marriage last, who believe in you. Maybe a couple who will pray for you, a couple who's going to hold it down, who's going to be truthful, you know, who's going to tell you the truth, a couple who is going to not be biased towards one party as opposed to the other, you know? So if you could do that, if you can find a seasoned couple, that would be awesome. That's one thing that I wish that I did prior to getting married. The last thing I will say that I wish I knew, and this is, when I say the last, this is the last, just, you know, there's so many things, but for this video that I'll be addressing is, I wish I knew that just because my marriage is God ordained does not mean that I wasn't going to face any challenges or struggles. Now, if you know my story, if you've heard my testimony, God told me that my husband was the one. He told my husband that I was his wife. It was confirmed. We came together. We got married. So our marriage is God ordained. He put us together. But it doesn't mean that we were just going to be walking and living in total bliss, which is what I thought. I was like, okay, well, God put us together. We are good, you know? But then I thought myself like, wait a minute. When I was arguing or upset or had an issue, I'm like, Lord, this is the man you gave me. This is who you gave me. You need to fix him. Like, this is what you did. This is how you set me up. I thought, you know I heard from you. And so I would go to God like that. And I'm sure my husband was probably like, this is the woman you gave me. This is who you said was supposed to be my wife. Like, what's up? Why is she acting like that? Why aren't things, you know, going a lot more smoothly than they are? At the end of the day, we're both humans. We're both individuals coming together. We both have, you know, selfish needs. We both have a degree of self-centeredness. So just because it's God ordained does not mean it's going to be total bliss. Our marriage being God ordained has been the glue that's kept us together. You know, so being God ordained does not mean that we weren't going to have any struggles, that everything was going to be peachy for us. But what we do is we recognize that God put us together and that we're going to stay together, because who God puts together, let no man separate. So that has been our thing. So those are some of the things that I wish I knew before I got married. There are, of course, other things that I wish I knew before I got married. I'm going to address those additional things as well as address the responses that I got from other married women as to what they wish they knew before they got married. So please look out for that second video. Thanks for tuning in. If you like this content, don't forget to share it with a friend and don't forget to press like. And if there's anything that you as a married woman woman wish that you knew before you got married, go ahead and drop it in the comments below so, you know, the single gals can read it. It's really helpful for us to be able to share this information with other ladies, because it's one of those things like, you're never really prepared for. Like, are you ever really prepared for marriage? The more that we share with each other, the more that we're able to at least have some knowledge and some sense of preparation, I guess. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next week.